Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, BuyAToyota.com, your official site for Toyota deals. The original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome into the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show on Comcast Beach TV. And now this season, happy to announce on WMDT TV Channel 47 as well. We're going to be on Saturday night before the college game of the week and also Sunday as well. So we're really looking forward to partnering with them and expanding our shows. So we want to thank them and also, of course, the folks at Comcast who have been with us the last couple of years as well. So we're just broadening the reach of the show. Welcome back. We're broadcasting from, of course, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, the Ravens Room here, 127th Street in Ocean City with Ravens fans all across Delmarva and Ravens Roost 44. Give yourselves a hand. Get the rust off. Welcome into week number 1 of the NFL. Coming up, we're going to recap the Ravens offseason, the preseason. We'll analyze the roster and preview the upcoming game Sunday, 1 o'clock against the Cincinnati Bengals at M&T Bank Stadium. Again, kickoff at 1. The Ravens Wrap Show brought to you by, of course, the original Green Turtle, the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, our friends at Bud Light, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, RussellStreetReport.com, Geico, the Ocean City Golf Club, our friends at jctickets.net, in which this year they've added an extra pair of tickets. So now 5 pairs of tickets will be giving away. The first one for the game later in the month against the Carolina Panthers. Also want to thank our friends at Holiday Inn Express at Northside at Ocean City. Donaway Furniture, who has given us this great set last year and continues this year. So we're happy to be a little bit more comfortable as well. And BuyAToyota.com as well, your official site for Toyota deals. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Ravens Wrap at the Blue Ox. Back for year number 7, Mike Bradley along with you for 105.7 The Fan of Baltimore and for mornings locally on 92.7 WGMD. To my left, Mr. Sunshine, OC local and Lehigh College grad, former player, John Garrick. Welcome back, sir.
Johnny boy. That's right. Hey, partner. How you doing? Buddy, how are you?
Of course, to his left, former Baltimore Colt, all-pro safety, Bruce Laird, back for another season. Bruce, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. 44.
I'd like to know where the fountain of youth is. You look better each and every year, Bruce.
I'm telling you, someone's dying somewhere, but it ain't me.
You can buckle the chin strap.
They may be calling you here.
I'm telling you, after I look at that secondary, they may be calling. If I could play 20 yards deep and not have to do anything, I'd be perfect.
That's a modern NFL.
That's right.
No flags.
And of course, to Bruce's left, the golf pro of Ocean City and host of many of the golf shows on Beach TV and regionally as well, right? What are you on Fox out of?
Masson, Root Sports, and also Comcast Sportsnet up in Philadelphia now.
There you go. Bobby Vermillion. Bobby, welcome back, sir.
Good to be back, Mike. Good to see you guys again.
Well, guys, just quickly recapping last year. Certainly after 5 years of the playoffs, Super Bowl, the odds are stacked against you a little bit. We certainly had a lot of things conspire against us. I guess first and foremost, you look at the offensive line, a lot of injuries there, no running game. Joe gets banged up quite a bit. Dennis Pitta goes down. Jacoby Jones is down for 6 games. Anquan Bolden traded. A tough year for the offense, to say the least. Obviously, we'll talk about coming up in a second. A lot of things have changed here with the offense, but just a tough all-around year. You look defensively, Matt Elam playing out of position. The rookies that you drafted, not many of those guys got to participate as much as maybe you would have hoped. And just all-around tough year. Yet that said, guys, going into the last game, still had a chance to go to the playoffs.
Still had a shot against this very team we're about to play, and needed some help in that last game. But hey, things happen. I mean, the Ravens had 2 magical Super Bowl runs and a big run in the playoffs here recently. And, when you get injuries, Bruce, you know this better than any of us, it just changes the dynamic of the team. And the other guys know about it. The other teams aren't feeling sorry for us.
No.
And they're coming after us, and it showed.
And it's not going to change no matter what year we're talking about, whether it's high school. It's all up front. And when the offensive line couldn't change the line of scrimmage, and John, you and I talk about this on and off the air, when you're moving you got to move the defensive people off the line of scrimmage. If they're moving you back, which is what was happening in the running game, and Ray Rice not being really ready to play, not in shape, they couldn't move. They couldn't move the line of scrimmage. They couldn't stay on blocks. And then, of course, we talked about the injuries to Pitta and Jacoby. So 48 sacks, the offensive line not playing well. Defensively, It was a struggle. 2 young players again. They didn't have another safety. They just put somebody in there. I could have been playing instead of that guy from Oakland. Huff, he was terrible. And anyway, so Elam's out of position. So what we got this year is, will these 2 fronts, will the offense and defensive front make the difference and start playing up to playoff caliber football?
Bobby, I have to ask you this because some people have talked about this. I never got the feeling last year, though, that there was a Super Bowl hangover for the most part. I'm not saying that that couldn't have been prevalent with a couple of players, but I still felt like that was a team that went out, that gave it what they could. They had a lot of circumstances against them, and again, you go 5 years like that, you're bound to have an off year. But I never had that impression, and again, they gave themselves a chance, albeit in a weaker AFC, to give themselves a chance to go in the playoffs last game of the season.
When we sat here a year ago, it's kind of amazing. We were all concerned about the loss of Anquan Bolden. And, when you look at that, that was definitely a factor. But then when Pitta goes down, then you got 2 of Joe's favorite targets that are gone. But I think the biggest surprise, and Bruce alluded to it a moment ago, was the offensive line. Not just the offensive line, but the running game. You take a Ray Rice, who did not look, he was a shell of himself last year. You could say it was injury. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a little heavy. And then Bernard Pierce had the shoulder injury, so he had some issues as well. But they couldn't run the football. And if you don't give Joe Flacco a running game, he's not going to get it done, particularly with the weapons that he had last year. So I think this year, I think Ravens fans are excited because we have some new weapons. And, one of the quotes I saw and heard from the Steelers coach, Mike Tomlin, he said, excuses are tools for the incompetent. So I know the Ravens aren't going to make excuses for last year, and they certainly didn't. Whether it was Ray Rice being injured, whether it was in the offensive line because you had Assembly go down and also Matt Burke retire, and Gino Gradkowski, I think, graded out as the worst center in the NFL last year. So obviously we've upgraded some of the positions. It'll be interesting to see what happens in Week 1.
John, we talked a little bit off the air. You were talking about Joe got the big contract last year, and we'll get into it coming up in the next segment or so. But maybe feel like this year he has the best chance to succeed of any of the years he's been here. It looks like they've certainly given him the tools this year to really go out there and have statistically the best year he's ever had and live up to that contract. I mean, after the Super Bowl now.
Yeah, I mean, running out of excuses for Joe. I mean, it's new offensive coordinator, so we can't blame them.
Wait a minute, hold on, I got to call you out on this. Who's making excuses for Joe? He won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. I don't think anybody's making excuses for him.
Thank you.
I'm not going to rehash this argument because it's pointless. But I mean, I think most fans are bullish for this season for Joe. I mean, you have a new offense. Just coming out of the first series of the first preseason game, you see a completely different style, using the middle of the field more. Steve Smith, senior, I guess. See, Dad, you got to call yourself senior. But he adds another element, like the toughness of an Anquan Bolden or Derek Mason experience. I think that's going to help him a lot. And we're going to find out. He's just going to need to deliver the ball, deliver it accurately and on time. And that's been my biggest beef with him, is that he's not very accurate sometimes, and he's not on time sometimes. So he's got the opportunities now with a retooled offensive line and new offense.
Bruce, you know this organization as well as anybody. Some people have said if the Ravens make the playoffs last year, they don't go out and make the necessary adjustments that they needed to because they're saying, oh, well, we're a playoff team, we're fine, we can stand pat. I don't believe that to be true. Your thoughts?
I don't think so at all. Ozzie Newsome is always 5 years down the road. He's looking, he knew what was going on with Ed Reed. He knows what's happening with players. Now, they had a gamble on Anquan Bolden. And the gamble is, when you really look at players over 30, well, if you do the math, and the league is about pitch counts, just like Buck Showalter, the league is about age, and they looked at that and said, you know what? Most players at that situation for $7 million, they're going to decline. Well, they had it wrong. They should have stayed with him. He would have helped them immensely in the passing game. And again, that mental toughness, that game personality. Why am I here? I'm here to work for 6 days so I can play and we win football games. You don't just get that. Young players that come out of college don't understand what I just said. They may look at you and go, oh yeah, sure, coach, but they don't get it, because that's what you have to do in this sport when you're a professional. And they miss that opportunity. So down the line, I firmly believe that they got it as an organization with Ozzie and the coaching staff. But we're going to see, because they have a lot of potential players that haven't showed anybody at this level, whether they're players or not, Bobby.
Well, Steve Bisciotti said it best when he was on the show last year. They have to take the young players that they've drafted, or some of the undrafted guys, and they have to take the place of some more expensive veterans, because the price tag, and there is a salary cap obviously in the NFL, so you have to be wary and understand that salary cap. So in order to do that, what the Ravens try to do is try to get their younger players and groom their younger players and take chances on them. They frankly take some chances. This year's a good example. That you've got Brandon Williams on the inside, you've got your right tackle who's a young guy, so they're going to take some chances with some younger guys, Matt Elam in the secondary, and obviously Brooks will probably get some playing time. They're going to find out if these guys can play.
I think another factor last year, too, guys, was huge with Anquan Bolden and Ray Lewis gone. The void in leadership and what that does in the locker room is, I mean, if there's just no one teaching these young guys how to be a pro, you're kind of on your own.
An excellent point, and I think a lot of people were concerned about that when Ray and Ed left. I'll just make this point and put the Bolden thing to bed. Something nobody talks about. Okay, Bolden's on the team last year. Pitta goes down. Jones goes down. No offensive line. Joe has little time to throw. You've got no running game. I would argue that defenses would have been able to devote more of their resources in stopping him. He also, with a slot receiver out, he would have been forced to the outside. That's not his strength. He's a slot receiver. I don't think he would have been nearly as effective last year for the Ravens as everybody thinks, given the factors that happened. So that's an aspect I don't think a lot of people take a look at, but I think that's something to just keep in mind. But you know what? That's behind us. We're moving on. We have Steve Smith, which I think is an excellent replacement and really brings the same characteristics to the table that Bolden does. But coming up, we'll talk about the changes in the offseason. There were a lot between free agent picks, our draft picks, and coaching changes as well. So we'll get to take from the guys, John Gehrig, Bruce Laird, and Bobby Vermillion. It is the Ravens Wrap Show for the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway at Ocean City on Comcast Beach TV. And this year, our brand new home as well, WMDT TV Channel 47. We're back with more. Keep it here.
In April 1959, Art Wall won the Masters, edging out Carey Middlecoff and Arnold Palmer by finishing birdie, 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 par birdie. 1 month later, Ocean City Golf Club celebrated the opening of their first 18 holes. That course has been transformed now into one of the most scenic golf layouts on the East Coast. Come experience 36 of the most beautiful and challenging holes you'll find anywhere. Ocean City Golf Club in Ocean City, Maryland.
Like 33rd Street was to Colt fans, Russell Street will become legendary for future generations of Raven fans. Not only is Russell Street the team's address on Sunday, it's now home to the website voted Baltimore's best 5 years in a row. You've known them as Ravens247.com for years, and now you'll love them as RussellStreetReport.com for many more. There's nothing else like it for Baltimore football fans. Trust me, RussellStreetReport.com. Baltimore's home for football 24/7.
Welcome to the Comfort Inn Gold Coast. Conveniently located just 1 block from the beach and adjacent to shopping at the Gold Coast Mall and the movie theater. Newly renovated and open year-round with a marvelous bayfront view. Visit us on the web at comfortgoldcoast.com and see our hot deals and great golf packages, or simply call our direct reservation line to plan your stay.